Hello everyone, I'm the EFC and this is Blue Lions TV, and today I'm bringing you guys the Predict That 11 video for our upcoming game against Arsenal tomorrow night. And before I start the video, please, if you haven't pressed the bell notification button, what you're waiting for, please press that and stay notified to all things Blue Lions TV. January is going to be a massive month, so I suggest that you press the bell notification button. Getting straight into the video, and I'm really contemplating what type of formation I think Conte will use. Now, I personally would go for a 3-4-3 formation. I think especially with Arsenal's frailties at the back, and because Morata necessarily isn't that focal guy up front in terms of finishing off the chances he gets, I think that another attacking guy up them to really support Hazard Morata will make a massive difference. I felt that was the key reason for why we actually didn't beat Arsenal when we played them just a week ago, but I feel that 3-4-3 would be the best formation. But I do think that Conte will stick with a 3-5-2 because he would have been pleased at the amount of opportunities that they created against Arsenal and the team balance. In today's earlier press conference, when Conte was questioned in regards to what team he expects to use against Arsenal, all he did state was that he was expecting to rotate because if you're playing so many games, a game every 3 days, you need to rotate the team. When he was questioned about whether he's going to use youth players, he didn't really promise anything. All he said was a very typical vague Conte answer, was that I think from the start of the season we try to find a good balance to give the right chances to everyone because I think every player deserves the chance to play. He continues, we played Carabao Cup games with young players, but at the same time with strong teams because our run wasn't easy. We played Everton, Bournemouth and now Arsenal. Tomorrow is another chance to make rotations compared to the last games. So again, that really doesn't answer anything, but if I was to give my personal opinion, I don't think Conte will use youth, as we've seen recently in previous Carabao Cup games, especially against Bournemouth for example, where barely any young players featured in that game, only Pardew, and in the game against Norwich where he barely gave any of the young players a chance and he didn't start with any young player in the starting 11. If I was to quickly deconstruct Conte's press conference, I think what he's trying to say is, yes, in the games where we have played against stronger teams, I haven't necessarily used too many young players. Because we're playing against Arsenal, another strong team, I have to remind you guys, don't expect me to use a lot of young players. Now, in my opinion, I don't see us using any young players. If anything, I see all of the young players in the squad going out on loan this January. But getting into the predicted 11 lineup, starting with the goalkeeper, and yes, with the goalkeeper situation, it was quite difficult because I was thinking that Conte might stick with Caballero because he's been using every other Carabao Cup game, but we are playing Arsenal. Conte does want to win a trophy. He's probably thinking and said, you know what, I haven't won any cup competitions really in my entire career. Now will be a fantastic opportunity to really give me the best chance of doing that. Now I'm thinking two things. Conte might use Caballero again because he has played in every other game, but then Courtois was rested even though the last game was against Norwich, but Conte might decide to use Courtois for this game because it is a semi-final and he wants to win. So I expect to see Courtois in goal for the game against Arsenal tomorrow. Moving on to the back three, and there were a lot of rotation options as well. Starting on the right hand side, I see Azpilicueta returning to the team, who didn't play any part against Norwich. Normally, when Azpi is getting rested, Conte's doing that because he is going to be playing in the next game. There's no way that Azpi won't be playing in 2 games in a row, so expect to see Azpilicueta in the starting lineup. Moving on to the middle of the back three, and I see Christensen returning to the team. Yes, David Luiz didn't have the most spectacular performance against Norwich, even though it was very understandable. I mean, he's barely played in a month and a half, and no player in the history of football has come back playing amazingly well after being out for that long. Christensen has Conte's trust, and as I keep stressing, I'm very happy that Christensen has actually officially made it into the first team. Moving on to the left-hand sides. And I do think that Conte will use Rudiger in this game. I don't think necessarily for his team lineup it's going to be the most full strength team imaginable, but I think that because Rudiger has played a lot in the Carabao Cup so far this season, I think that he is going to regain his place, and really he hasn't been bad when he's played for us. Now moving on to the wing back options, starting with the left hand sides. And I see Marcus Alonso returning to the team. Now, Kennedy did get another rare start against Norwich. He was decent at times, but I don't see Conte using Kennedy 2 times in a row. Marcos Alonso did get the second goal against Arsenal, and he does have that threat inside the 18-yard box, and if only he could translate that to outside the 18-yard box at times, because sometimes I feel maybe his qualities on the ball aren't necessarily as high as they should be. And on a side note, it is quite disappointing to be hearing that Chelsea are actually in fact happy due to Marcos Alonso's goal contribution, and they really stopped themselves from going for Sandro because they feel that he isn't necessarily worth it anymore. So it is quite disappointing to hear that the club are quite short term. Moving on to right wing back, and I do see Conte reusing Zappacosta in this game. Now, when I did my player rating video, which a lot of you guys didn't watch, when I did my player rating, I did have to watch the game all over again, and I wanted to be really thorough and precise, and I was watching Zappacosta, and yes, he did have that telling moment where he did supply the cross to Marcos Alonso, but in terms of his overall play, it wasn't amazing, and I think we've kind of been blinded by his individual performance due to that extremely telling moment during the game. But in terms of the two goals, I think especially for the second goal, again, it's Zappacosta's weakness of not getting tight enough and closing people down. Too often he allows the crosses to come in from his flank, and that's not good enough. And even though Moses was very poor in the final third, defensively he was strong. Now moving on to the midfield three, starting with the DM, and yes, Conte will be playing in this game. Conte is a guy that never ever needs a rest, and I see him returning because the team really do need what he provides. He helps us play out from the back, closes down the spaces, especially when you've got someone in Bakayoko that isn't very good at knowing where to position himself defensively. I felt that when rewatching the game again, that Conte was really overworked. A lot of times he did have to move to the right hand side to really help out with Bakayoko, because Bakayoko was allowing too many balls in from behind, and I think this is why Conte wasn't necessarily able to close down as much as he normally does, because he had so much on his plate during that game. Moving on to the left-hand side of midfield, and I do see Conte using Fabregas again in that position. Now, Fabregas having that extra bit of freedom was exceptional against Arsenal. I say exceptional because, again, I did watch the game and I was seeing all the telling moments he was creating, the amount of times he was getting involved when it came to tackling, his work rate, playing those passes where he easily could have got 2 assists in that game. If players are more clinical, I'm looking at you, Hazard and Morata, and I think it was his best performance so far this season. Now moving on to the right hand side, I do see Conte using Drinkwater in this game. He hasn't necessarily been too happy with Bakayoko. He would have been pleased by what he's been seeing from Drinkwater in this game. Bakayoko against Norwich wasn't amazing as well, and I think that Drinkwater is going to command his place in the team, and it's going to be interesting to see how Conte uses Drinkwater and Conte. I think with Drinkwater in those defensive positions, Conte isn't going to be overrun because Drinkwater is very adept. He's very good tactically and with his positional awareness, and I think that could give even more freedom to Fabregas in this game. Moving on to the front two, and I see Eden Hazard returning in this game. Yes, he played no part against Norwich. Conte was resting him in this game in mind. This is going to be an important game because we are playing the first game at home, and I think that if we win it, we've basically secured the tie, and I think that's why Conte is going to go for a pretty strong team against Arsenal, because he really wants to secure the win at home, because our away form hasn't been great this season. We've dropped so many points, and we win all our points at home. And playing up front beside Eden Hazard, I see Alvaro Morata playing. Now, yes, his performance is probably one of his worst individual performances in his entire career against Arsenal. 3 1-on-1 opportunities, his poor link-up play. He wasn't good as an aerial threat. If you guys want to see my full thoughts and detailed analysis on the players, please, I suggest you watch my player rating video. It's going to be in the Combined 11 playlist tab on the homepage of my channel. Give that a watch and tell me what you think. Now, that's the lineup I see Conte using for the game against Arsenal. Now, for my personal lineup, I've gone for a 3-4-3 because due to, I think, Arsenal potentially using a bit of a weaker team, I wouldn't be surprised to be seeing Iwobi and Welbeck playing up front for them. Maybe Iwobi, I'm not too sure, especially after it's been reported that he's been snitched on basically in regards to some Snapchat surfacing of him, you know, partying with some of his friends at a house party. But I do think that Wenger isn't necessarily going to use the strongest team. That back three is a weakness. It looks like some players aren't going to be returning back in time, and I feel that because we're playing at home, really we need to attack Arsenal and go for it. Now, using a 3-4-3 doesn't mean it's some crazy gung-ho attacking system. You know, we've got 3 at the back, You've got Conte in there as well. Plus, we don't press high, and we don't press teams aggressively in their own half. So, you know, we do use that balance. I just think having that extra support with another attacking player in your Williams and your Pedros is really going to help that front three. And we're really going to make use of the spaces that Arsenal have afforded between their midfield and their defence. Now again, this is my personal 11. In goal, I've gone for Caballero because I think it's only fair that he starts the rest of the games in this tournament. In defence, I've actually gone for Azpilicueta, David Luiz and Rudiger. I feel that because it is a Carabao Cup game, I think that it'll be good for Luiz to regain his fitness because we're going to need him for the second half of the season. And I think that if he isn't to play for another week or two, it's just going to slow his progress of becoming fully match fit and getting right back into the rhythm. So I think it would be a good opportunity to risk David Luiz in this game. And actually, I shouldn't even be saying risk because it is David Luiz. For the wing-back positions, I've gone for Marcus Alonso on the left-hand side. Personally, I wouldn't mind Kennedy playing because he has been decent. And but I think that Marcus Alonso will get the nod in. I've gone for Victor Moses on the right-hand side as well. Yes, it was a poor game for him individually. Victor Moses doesn't have many poor games. It's once every now and then, so it's okay for him to have a bad game. And I think what he provides, even defensively, is just much better than what Zappacosta does. In midfield, I've gone for Kante and Fabregas. And up front, I've gone for Hazard, Morata and Masunda. It's no surprise to me that Masunda's best performance was against Nottingham Forest when he was playing beside Eden Hazard. I think that Masunda is very good at picking up those spaces, especially the spaces that Arsenal will be affording us between their midfield and defence. And I think it's just good for him to get a chance. But again, this is my personal one. I'm not saying Conte is doing this because, of course, that was at the first half of this video. But that's the lineup that I would use for the game against Arsenal. But anyway, you guys, thank you for watching. I'm the EFC. This is Blue Line TV. Please, if you haven't pressed the bell notification button, please press that and stay notified to all things Blue Lines TV. Anyway, you guys, I'll see you later.